Springfield, Ohio City Hall, 2 schools, and a number of other buildings in the city were forced to evacuate Thursday following bomb threats made that were allegedly anti-immigrant and hostile to the city's Haitian community, per the mayor, Rob Roux. In recent weeks, rhetoric born from social media that Haitian immigrants have been eating ducks and residents' pets has run rampant, with former President Trump fueling the theory.
Though Springfield officials, including the police, dispelled the rumors, they've become a flashpoint in the 2024 campaign. But how did this start? Midsummer, a picture purported to show a Haitian immigrant carrying geese was posted by right-wing account and Wokeness. They propelled this conspiracy theory, posting, quote, "Media fact check, the viral image of a Haitian walking with a goose is not from Springfield, Ohio. It's from nearby Columbus, Ohio. In other words, it's spreading." The conspiracy theory landed in former President Trump's ear. He brought it up in his debate with Kamala Harris Tuesday. Let's watch that again.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Rumors aside, the immigration debate swelled in Springfield in 2020 when the Ohio city saw an influx of Haitian migrants there, a point that Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance are seizing on. As a talking point, Trump used the death of 11-year-old Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio, whose bus was struck by a minivan being driven by a Haitian last year. This past week, the boy's father, Nathan Clark, blasted Trump. Let's take a look.
Using Aiden as a political tool is, to say the least, reprehensible for any political purpose. And speaking of morally bankrupt, politicians Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now.
Yeah, I do think it's getting to the point where people are hearing this and truly believing it about pets being killed. People eating their neighbor's cat is what sparked this in a Facebook group. The most recent decision to, post this everywhere just came from an unconfirmed story where a woman posted that her daughter's friend was missing her cat and saw the neighbors barbecuing and thought it was her cat gutted hanging from a tree. There's been no founding evidence of this. There have been no police reports of this. And so, of course, it's upset residents who have no idea maybe how to fact check or haven't gotten the news that this isn't true, that it is a conspiracy theory, that there is no factual basis in this, and they're upset and they want to do something about it. And some people are angry enough that they've taken to violence or violent threats. I think that's sad. It was funny at first, now I guess not so much.
There is no evidence, aside from this word-of-mouth rumor, that Haitian migrants have been stealing people's pets out of their homes or eating their cats. There was a video of an unidentified Black woman who is allegedly an American citizen eating someone's cat in nearby Columbus, Ohio. Canton, Ohio. Columbus was where the guy was photographed with the goose in his hand. But I will say that I think there's a lot of lazy journalism going on here from the mainstream media, where their extent that they went to try to confirm or debunk this story was to call the city manager and ask if it was true. And the city manager said, "Oh, no, of course not. Of course it's not happening." But since then, multiple independent journalists have gone on the ground in Springfield, Ohio, and interviewed multiple residents beyond the ones who spoke up at City Hall meetings, who have said that the local geese and duck populations have been decimated, that they personally have seen Haitian migrants walking around with multiple geese in their hands or driving home with geese in their vans. One resident said that she found a decapitated pig's head in Snyder Park, which is the local park where apparently a lot of this is taking place. And there is a police report of a citizen who called the local non-emergency line and said he saw migrants walking around speaking Creole with geese in their hands. He's since been interviewed by a left-wing journalist who was trying to talk to him about this report, and he said, "I don't want to be identified. I never wanted to be famous. I just tried to call to do the right thing because I thought what was happening was not right. There is a physical police report. The audio from the 911 call has since been released. There is also an interview with an Ohio duck rescuer who's been doing the job for 10 years, who said that she has serious concerns about the waterfowl population and that there have been recent bird disappearances in the region far exceeding previous summers. So to me, this harkens back to the Aurora, Colorado story where people were raising concerns about apartment complexes being broken into by Venezuelan gang members of Tren de Aragua. And you had the governor, Jared Polis, and the local mayor saying it wasn't happening. Then videos started coming out, and since then they've actually arrested 10 members of the Tren de Aragua gang for breaking into apartment complexes and participating in other gang activity. So I don't think you can blame local citizens for reporting what they're seeing and then tell them it's not true, and then they're pushing back on the media and naturally not trusting the mainstream media because they're not doing the actual legwork to try to verify anything that they're saying. They're just telling them that they're lying.
I do think it is a stretch to say that if there's evidence of Canadian geese being killed, then it's reasonable to say pets and people's dogs, they're eating the dogs. There's no factual basis to that. There's not even
that was the
photograph.
first thing I said. I agreed with you on that.
And so I think, yes, there have been journalists that have called the police, asked for police reports. People are reporting on the city council meetings. People have been on the ground in Springfield, Ohio, talking to folks there. I've seen countless interviews of journalists on the streets talking to people about these rumors. So I don't think that this story is being debunked because journalists are too lazy to find the real evidence that is surely out there. I think this story has been debunked because it started as a racist rumor from people that are upset that Haitian immigrants are in their town. Now, Canadian geese are an invasive species. So if the migrants would like to kill them and eat them, that is actually beneficial to the ecosystem in the United States, despite their name. You would think they live in the US, being called Canadian geese. They're likely from another continent. They really are kind of a nuisance. They're a threat to a lot of our energy infrastructure based on how they nest and things of that nature. So there's a reason there's a phrase, their goose is cooked. People eat geese. This is not like a weird thing for human beings to be eating. And if it's an invasive species, that's good. This idea that it's Haitian voodoo, which was something posted by Marianne Williamson, and it's, our pets are next. That is just really dangerous rhetoric that, makes people fearful of migrants who are different from them culturally. And so fearing what you do not know and fearing people that you do not know, and your first reaction is to, spread rumors about them, saying they're eating your beloved pets and companions. It's just a little bit disgusting at this point that it's still being spread so much.
Okay, so I've been goose hunting. My husband is a regular goose and duck hunter. Canadian geese are a federally protected species. It is illegal to kill them unless you're doing it under very specific circumstances. First of all, you definitely can't go into a local city park and grab a goose and kill it. You have to have a federal duck stamp. You also have to have the proper state duck stamp. You have to be in the proper season. The report that was called in, the police report, was back in August, well before goose season was in. And you have to hunt with the legally permitted weapon and ammunition. You can't even use whatever type of ammunition you want. Usually you have to use steel shot to make sure that you're killing the animal in a humane way. There's usually limits in certain seasons on how many ducks or geese that you're allowed to kill. One of the few exceptions is snow geese, where those are an invasive species, and there's certain 3 to 4 week periods where you're allowed to kill as many as you want. But at bare minimum, these people are poaching the geese, even if it's not that weird to eat them. It is not normal, and it is weird to go into a city park and kill a goose with your bare hands and then walk home with the dead goose body back to your house without doing any of the things that an American citizen would have to do to be hunting legally and properly without poaching. So I don't think that's a fair comparison at all to what is happening here. Attorney General Dave Yost in Ohio points out on X that there's a recorded police call from a witness who saw immigrants capturing geese for food in Springfield. Citizens testified to city council. These people would be competent witnesses in court. Why does the media find a carefully worded City Hall press release better evidence? I mean, this is true. Eyewitness testimony is considered evidence in a court of law. You might not like that they're saying it, but to suggest that everyone who has reported seeing this with their own eyes is making it up or is lying or is just racist, I think is doing a huge disservice to the very real problems that are happening in Springfield, Ohio. Even if you don't buy the goose story, even if we believe the pet story has been debunked, which again, I haven't seen any evidence of the pets being stolen. I agree with you on that. We do have to acknowledge that importing 20,000 people into a small town and expecting this to just go perfectly well when there's a very big chasm of cultural differences here is problematic and is not fair to the people who are lifelong residents of Springfield, Ohio, who have said that they have been unable to find jobs. There are homeless people that have been interviewed by independent and local journalists who say that they're not able to get shelter because the Haitian migrants are taking up all of the shelter spaces. The Haitian migrants get EBT cards and other local, state, and federal benefits that are much above levels of American citizens. Of course, that's going to breed some resentment, and I think it's reasonable for them to say, I've been here my whole life, I pay taxes, I live here, I try to contribute to my community, and all of a sudden someone who was brought here on a temporary visa or a temporary protected status is getting so much more assistance than I ever did.
So it's a misconception that Canadian geese are protected because they're endangered. They're protected at the same status of any other animal in Ohio. Just like there's a deer season.
That's not true. They're under the Migratory Bird Act. It's a federal law that protects migratory bird species.
So it protects all bird species. They are an invasive species. They are a nuisance to people. There's a population of Canadian geese that biologists have deemed unsustainable. So in the same way there's like a white deer hunting season to reduce the white deer population, there's a goose hunting season.
Exactly. And
so
there's regulations in that within that season that you have to follow.
Amber, you spoke for a while. I'm going to speak for a while.
But you're not allowed to say things that are not accurate on the show.
It is accurate. I'm reading from the government website of Ohio around the protective status of Canadian
There's also
geese.
federal law.
So Canadian geese are an invasive species. It is bad for the ecosystem that there's so many of them because they're depleting a lot of the resources that the regular birds depend upon. And so in the same way, there's a hunting season to reduce the white-tailed deer population, which are an invasive species across America. There's a hunting season for the Canadian goose population. And a big reason why we have so much regulation around hunting, where you can do it and when you can do it, is because most people, when they're hunting, are using guns. It's kind of a sport to shoot at birds. And so if it is true, which we don't have confirmation of, that there are Haitian migrants, killing and eating these Canadian geese with their hands, was it roadkill? Did they pull an RFK Jr.? All of that is aside from the fact that we had a presidential candidate saying migrants are eating your dogs on the national stage with millions of viewers watching. That really is the kind of fear-mongering that causes people to think they need to take a violent act against the migrants because they're afraid that their communities are under attack. And so spreading that lie is a dangerous one.
Okay, I would just close by encouraging you to look up the Federal Migratory Bird Protection Act and the federal regulations related to birds like Canadian geese. This is not an Ohio law that refers to all migratory birds or birds in general, and there are very specific regulations even within a hunting season, whether it's birds, white-tailed deer, turkey, or any other animal that you're permitted to hunt, where you have to use specific types of weapons, ammunition. There are certain areas where you're allowed to hunt and where you're not allowed to hunt, and all of that factors into this. This is not an apt comparison to say that picking up a goose at the public park is at all comparable to someone who abides by the proper hunter regulations and goes out during season with the proper weapon and harvests a goose under the federal and state law. That's going to do it for us this week on Rising. It's great being with you today, Jess.
Yep, bye all.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.